Welcome to the Working Athlete podcast. Wishing all the listeners a very happy new year. I thought I would start the new year with something different. Today, I am going to share a conversation I had with my good friend and a coach himself, Gokul Krishna of the Bike Affair, an year or so ago. The topic of the conversation was how to make your own training plan. I am sure that the topic will be of interest and of use to many of you. It can be due to various reasons that you might not be working with a coach, but still want to follow a structured plan to improve your fitness and work towards specific goals. What are the general principles you need to keep in mind while preparing a training plan for yourself? What is periodization? What is base? What is building? And peaking, etc. These are all the various topics we spoke about in this conversation. We were interacting over an app called Leher, which was similar to Clubhouse. So there is some interactivity and audience questions as well. I'm not sure either of those apps exist right now, but I thought this conversation could be of value to some of us. So enjoy it and let me know if you want to hear more of such topics in the future by commenting on the YouTube channel of the podcast. Now, on to the conversation.
Welcome, listeners. I have Bikey Venky with me. So, when I wanted to introduce him, I was thinking, and very interestingly, he has another name. In 2011, we went for the tour of Nilgiris, which is a reasonably tough tour of on the bicycle for about 1 week, wherein we start around Bangalore and end up climbing Ooty from multiple directions. So in 2011, both of us were riding, and this was my first real tour of this kind of a duration, and I was all tensed and all. While I saw Venky riding his fixed gear bike. Uh, a fixed gear, for people who are uninitiated, is a single speed bicycle, and the rear cog is bolted on to the wheel. So essentially, if you stop pedaling, the bicycle stops, and so you have to continue pedaling even if you are going downhill. And it is quite a different experience. And he rode around that 700, 800 kilometers on a fixie, where riding downhill is probably more dangerous or more tricky than going uphill. And I think he still finished in the top 10. He finished much faster than me when I had a road bike as well. So, and during that episode, one of the organizers gave him a new nickname, Lord Venky. In fact, even now, I think I have one of my accounts recognizes Venky as Lord Venky, and one account recognizes it as Bikey Venky. So he's a fantastic rider, and he has transformed himself, which is a very, very motivating story in itself. And he wears too many hats, and probably that is why I think he's losing his all his hair now. So he is a fantastic rider. He's a very good coach. He writes extremely well. In fact, in those early days, we used to look towards Venky's ride reports as a way of just like how you would wait to see a newspaper to see the coverage of a sporting event. And he writes so beautifully. And recently, he's also started uh, a podcast. In fact, I believe he completed 50 episodes of the podcast as well. So there is pretty much nothing on related to a bicycle that Venky cannot do. And I couldn't find anybody more capable to guide others with regards to forming a self-coaching plan. Thank you, Venky, for being on board. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words, Gokul, and for your introduction.
So let's start off today's session. And as usual, friends, we will go through a set of basic questions that I had in mind, but I will interrupt them with all the questions that you may have, and especially today's topic is something where I am expecting a lot of you to have questions, and we'll be taking it contextually then and there. So, why don't you start off with explaining what exactly is a training plan, Venky?
Yeah, training plan, when you kind of asked what is a training plan, I think a training plan can be looked up and looked at as a kind of route map to get to a destination, right? We have to compare it. So if you want to get somewhere uh, to a destination, having a general idea or specific details on how to get there will help, right? Similarly, if you have a cycling goal, it can be wanting to go, at X kmph, or 40 kmph, 50 kmph, whatever, or wanting to climb your local hill at in so and so time. So, for example, for all the Bangaloreans, we have the only hill that we have is Nandi Hills, and we want to uh, climb it at some want to climb it at sub 30, some want to go at sub 25. Now it has become like a sub 20 is a goal some dream of. So if you have a cycling goal like that, having a training plan will help you get there. So it is similar to a route map that kind of with pointers that you have to do so and so. You take right at this junction and take right left at this junction, like that. If route map is a direction to a destination, training plan can be something like that towards your cycling goal. Okay. Um, so that is how I look at as a training plan.
Yeah, in fact, that's a beautiful way to put it. Many times I have, in my experiences, I've also realized that we tend to start off a training without really any goal. And
Yeah.
many times, because the training plan starts with the goal, it helps us in uh, uh, determining that goal that we want to achieve. And uh, we may all think that that in fact kind of leads us into the next question. Like, a lot of us may think that we are just casual riders looking for gaining basic fitness. So uh, who needs a training plan, or do I need a training plan? What is
Yeah.
uh,
That is a good question, right? If you can, I can go back to that same example. Do you want to go somewhere? And if you are not in a hurry to go anywhere in a city, and you just want to explore, you can very well do it at your leisurely, exploring all the roads, and just have fun. But if you want to get to a destination in so a certain time, and you want to go there in the quickest way possible, you might as well have a good route map. So that is where, if you want, if when I started out as a rider, thinking I didn't have any goal. Okay, my riding was driven by um, I want to just ride. Okay, it was driven by me wanting to become fit, and for that I just decided that I want to ride. So I was just riding there. The only plan was, if it was a weekend, one day would be to a certain temple, eh, and one day would be to Tank Bund, or it was like a destination based riding. Okay, there was no training plan as such, because I did not have any specific goal as to I regarding speed or anything else. So the only goal was to ride, and I was just riding. But when you have a goal, you say someone in the audience was just mentioning that he wants to ride 200 kilometers. He wants to complete a 200-kilometer ride in 6 months. Okay, that is a specific goal. For that specific goal, you can build a plan around that. If you have a goal like that, it is easier to come up with a training plan, right? So for if you have a to answer that question, do you need a training plan? If you don't have any goal, you don't need one. You just ride and enjoy, right? But if you have a goal, you would need a training plan, or training plan would help you get to that goal in the most efficient way. Does that make
Awesome.
sense?
Definitely, definitely. But somehow I often feel that while many of us think that, okay, I am a casual rider, I am a leisure rider, I don't want to have any specific goals. But very soon we realize that we are riding with somebody who's a little faster and we want to keep up with them. Or like you mentioned about uh, the Nandi Hills, you have a particular section of hills which you suffer more and you would like to do it a little bit more comfortably and so on. So it's only a matter of time before you slowly start falling into that groove. It's many times you just have to ask yourself what is it that you would like to do. Even uh, being able to do 100 kilometer comfortably is a goal. In fact, last week I had a run wherein I heard one of the most beautiful goals that somebody had for a run. This was a runner called Chetan Malik, and he was saying, "See, Gokul, I want to keep fit, but at the same time, I have a family. So my goal is that I finish my workout and I'm able to play with my daughters the moment I reach home, and nothing should be affected as far as my physical strength is concerned when I reach home." Even that is a goal. Of course, we it's a little too high level. We may need to break it down into more measurable artifacts to make it achievable. But still, even that is a goal. But and in order to achieve that, you need to break it down into measurable chunks. So yeah, I think
Definitely, that makes sense, right? If you are doing 100-kilometer ride or 200-kilometer ride or whatever, and you are dead to everyone else in the home after coming home, wow, you will not be appreciated for long. Right? You
yeah,
won't be
true,
given that
true.
you won't be given that time for long. It is as good as taking the whole day, right? So
Yeah, no sick
that should
leaves at
not
home,
be.
right?
Yes, no sick leaves.
So cool.
And another thing that
So
you
now
mentioned
how do
is
we?
when we start, we might not have goals, but as we ride with others and as we see others going faster and or others going longer distances, we quickly kind of develop those goals. Like, okay, I want to be there. I want to be that guy who is who looks so awesome, who rides so fast. I want to get there, right? So those can become, people can become our inspirations, and their feats can become our goals, and quickly we can give ourselves those targets and work towards.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all look out to the nearest inspiration possible, and definitely that is something. And I have always improved when I have looked at somebody who is slightly better than me and tried to see if I can match up to them or grow up to their levels. So, yeah. Uh, how exactly should I start to create my training plan, Venky?
Yes. So training plan, as we also kind of briefly touched upon, always depends on our goal, right? We have to start by looking at our goal, and it can be a goal of completing a 200-kilometer brevet, a 300-kilometer brevet, or it can be some, going as fast as we can on a 40-kilometer course. For someone doing a national, usually the 40 kilometers TT is their goal. For for us in Bangalore, uh, sorry, I think someone is celebrating Diwali early here. But so for us, folks in Bangalore, we have a standard TT course, which is 33.5 kilometers. Right? We want to look at going as fast as we can on that course. Right? So all these can be a goal, and someone might have might want to have 100 kilometer, completing 100 kilometers on under 3 hours or under 3 hours 20 minutes as a goal. Anything can be a goal like that, but your training plan will start with that goal in mind, right? So I would typically look at having your giving your goal or an event at least 12 weeks of time. That would be like a 3 month period where you will have a good enough chance to uh, put in various blocks of training. Right? You can give yourself a 4 week base block, then a 4 week build block, and then another 4 weeks of specialization come taper towards that goal event goal. So that you you would give yourself those 12 weeks, or if you are think you can bypass that first block of base period of 4 weeks, you can you can do with that 8 week block. So you can look at all this, what you have done so far and what is your goal, and then plan accordingly. Then comes the elements like the specificity towards that goal, right? If you have uh, a time trial in your mind, what is it that you need to work on? You need to work on your ability to ride at your threshold. So you would in your training plan, you need to put in the, those chunks of threshold intervals. You say if your goal is 40 kilometer time trial, right? You can based on your current ability or your target time. Say if your target time is to do that in 1 hour, okay, you should be able to ride at your threshold for 1 hour or more, right? So but you can't do that in training. So you have to break that down into smaller chunks, and do that in training as intervals. So you can start with maybe 5 minute intervals or 10 minute intervals. You would typically start with just 3 4 of those, and then gradually build up to closer to that uh, time frame. So these are the kind of specifics you will look at, but the main things that you would look at is you have to
in your training plan, you have to build not just this intensity, but also recovery. Okay, so recovery is where one would really get stronger. After you doing your intervals, it is the recovery day that is going to make your body stronger. So you have to build that into the training plan. So a general rule would be never do back to back hard rides, okay, unless your goal event is requiring that. Say, for example, a multi-day tour like Tour of Nilgiris, or a stage race like Tour of Glory that we had, would need you to ride hard day after day for continuously for 3 days or so, right? In that case, you will specifically train for those. But otherwise, as a general rule, you have to build your recovery into the training plan. That is very important. People who don't understand training, what the common mistake they do is they drive themselves into burnout, right? So these are the aspects that they need to look at. So even in when I talked about these 4 week chunks of base, build, and you know build come taper, you have to take recovery into consideration. So for every 3 weeks of gradually increasing the load, you would take a recovery week where you are cutting that training stress out by about 60% or so, right? So, and even within a week, if you look at it, if you want to put a training plan for a week, you would look at, say, some short intervals on Tuesday, and then doing an easy recovery ride on Wednesday, and then you can put your threshold intervals on Thursday, and then a rest day or an easy spin on Friday, and then maybe longer endurance rides on Saturday, Sunday, right? So that should kind of that can be a good template for most people who have like 3-4 days or 4-5 days of riding time. And you can over a 4 week block, you can increase the load. Like you can increase the load by increasing the number of intervals during that you are doing on those interval days, or the duration you are that you are riding for. So gradually build those build um build the load over a 3 week period, and use the fourth week as a recovery week. So that way uh, b- you can build your training plan. So first 4 week block can be a base block, where you are kind of doing work that will get your legs ready for the more intense workouts that you are going to do in the next block, which you can do more specific event based workouts. Like when I took the example of training for a time trial, right? You can do those threshold intervals on Thursday, gradually increasing the distance or the time in the threshold. Also, if you look at the course and you see that the course has a lot of ups and downs, the time trial may end up to be under overs, right? So it can be on the uphills you might be going a little harder, and on the downhills you would be going a little under threshold. So you have to you can put your intervals in a way that instead of a steady threshold effort, you can put under overs for getting ready for that kind of course, right? An effort in that kind of a course. So the specificity can come in during the build phase, and more of tuning up can come in the last block before you taper in a week or two closer to the event. I think that kind of can be a general template for a training plan when it comes to preparing for events. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely does, Venky. So, additionally, a couple of things I also feel is a lot of us ignore strength and flexibility. So, these are also things which need to be looked at from at a very early point uh, in the training plan itself. For example, we are talking.
Excellent point.
Yeah. So it's not just the power, but also, like, for example, a time trial. Just the ability to stay in a more aerodynamic position is going to save you quite a few watts. So what's saved is what's earned as well. So that also needs to be taken into consideration, and this will enable you to ensure that your body is able to take the additional load that is going to come in at the later part in the training plan.
Yeah. So, on a related note, someone just asked how to manage strength, flexibility, and cycling all together in a week, right? So that is very relevant. So if you are riding 3-4 days or 4-5 days in a week, when are you going to do that strength and flexibility work? So you can look at doing strength work um, on your off the bike days, or more if you are able to do it on the same day as your hard ride. Say if you are doing a hard ride in the morning, and if you can spend some time in the evening uh, in the gym, that would be a good uh, time to do it, because the next day is going to be anyway recovery, and you will get enough time before your next hard ride for your legs to recover from the strength workout that you might be doing as well. And the flexibility aspect, whenever you can do doing a few stretches, typically what we look at is we tend to have really stiff hips from sitting a lot, and also using those hip muscles on the bike. So uh, doing a few stretches related to that would kind of help whenever you are free. It doesn't take too much time, like 5-10 minutes of active mobility and stretching whenever you find time would be really helpful. Anything that you want to add, Gokul, on that?
Yeah, I would say stretching, you make it simplest way is to ensure that you finish any ride with a stretch or any workout with stretching. Uh, uh, like if I look at a structure of any workout, it should start with a warm up, it should have your core activity, and it should end with a cool down and cool down on the bike as well as on cool down stretches. So even if you are late for a workout and you are having to cut short the time, never cut short the warm up cool down aspect. If you have to cut short something, do one interval lesser or reduce the duration of the core workout a little lesser, but do not reduce the drastically the time of the warm up or cool down, or skip those. That is asking for trouble. Uh, but I have, at this point nowadays, if I do not stretch post a run or a ride, I know for sure the next day I'm going to suffer. So it's very important. That is one simple way of adding mobility or flexibility into everyday workout. And of late, my approach to strength, with my experiences and uh, what I find it to be more useful is You can look at a strength workout which is like once or twice a week. Ideally speaking, people will want to do more off the bike strength during the base phase and slowly reduce it, reduce the off the bike work as you go towards the event. But I have seen that you could address this in a different way. Try to spend time to understand where exactly what are the areas of strength that you lack, and come up with shorter routines which could be 10 to 20 minutes, which you can do 3-4 times a week. And we always have the 20 minutes if we know that we need only 20 minutes. And I feel that, so I don't even really assign a day for this, but it has to be very specific. So if you address those specific workout which fixes the strength area which you need to build, that 20-minute 4 sessions a week is probably going to be more useful, and it will save you time. But of course, it's very difficult to do this on a self basis. I think you'll need some level of experienced physical trainer or a coach to identify and determine the strength program. Probably this is not an area which is doable on a self basis. But if you could do that, I find that to be very effective, at least for me.
Yeah, yeah, very good points, Gokul. Because we don't have all the time in the world to kind of do the entire set of. I think there are thousands of workouts that you can do in a gym, right? Strength for strength and conditioning. So I think identifying the areas that would benefit most, and kind of nailing down a few workouts that will help uh, gain make help us make most gains in those areas would be the way to go. All right, so there are a few questions. I don't know if
Yes.
we want to take that, or
I think there is one question which is relevant probably at this point is how to get motivated when someone is creating own training plan but getting lazy sometime to follow the plan. Uh,
right. So the motivation is an interesting thing, right? Uh, this is something that I was just talking about with friends the other day. You cannot motivate anyone. That motivation will have to come from within. Okay, you can look at other people and be inspired, but unless it is within yourself, that motivation comes from within yourself, you won't do anything about it. Okay, so how to get motivated is uh, the best way for that to kind of works for me is asking myself why. Why do I want to do this? Right? Starting with your why is a good way to stay motivated, is what I feel. Right? Why is it that I chose this goal in the first place? And why is it that I wanted to do this workout uh, in today, or whatever, right? So start with first of all, why is it that I want to cycle? Do I really love it, or did I start, or why did I start this? So then I think the motivation will you will find your motivation in that question, in the answer to that question. I don't know if it helps any, but that is my mode of operation with that.
I don't think anybody could have answered it better, Venky. I think it's the most beautiful answer I've heard. Uh, are you a big fan of Simon Sinek?
Yes. That guy is just blows
Okay.
my mind.
Mm, okay. Cool. Uh, I think it is very important to know your why. In fact, I will narrate a story. There is this beautiful workout on Sufferfest called the BAT. It is some 5 or 6 5-minute intervals, and it has a mental aspect as well. Each of those 5, something like a VO2 effort, each of those drives home one of the mental areas that you would want to work on. And there, I think the second or third point is about knowing this why. And I used to do that when I was preparing for my Everesting last year. And that was really helpful because even in an endurance event, you are going through any ultra endurance event, you are absolutely going to go through a phase wherein you are really asking this question, why the hell am I doing this? So while it looks like a rhetorical question, the if you are very clear with the answer, I think that is the only way you will end up overcoming that low phase and then go ahead and complete it. So it is the same with
Absolutely.
yeah. And another small thing is, I think it is very minor in front of the answer that you gave, Venky, but is to also have smaller milestones. So when you break down that bigger why and have smaller things to achieve and plan out for. So even though the annual training plan can be there, you should still have some intermediate milestones that you want to go ahead and try out, so that that not only helps you stay motivated, but it also helps us a huge course correcting thing, because sometimes we may go through a phase what is called as plateauing, so wherein you don't seem to be making much progress. So it will help you identify that, and it will help you change some of the instigating workouts that may help you come out of that lull period. So having smaller milestones or frequent milestones is also important.
Definitely, definitely. So, a little bit more explaining on that is like Abhishek, our good friend, asked that question. So, when you put yourself a training plan, you would have put that training plan for one particular goal, and you would that might be your why, or that why you have put that goal itself might be another why. And if you kind of go deeper, you will find the reason. And on that particular workout will be a smaller milestone towards achieving that goal, right? So all these kind of will be adding and leading up to you achieving that goal. So all these things will kind of will help you stay motivated if you kind of constantly ask yourself that question and remind yourself of your goals and the reason why. I think it will help you stay motivated and keep going.
Cool. I think we can take one more question. Rajiv has asked a question: does running help in cycling?
You can answer that.
Yeah. So the reality is, Rajiv, that in order to get better in cycling, you will have to cycle. So there is no comms about it. However, why do we do strength? Why do we do flexibility and other things? Is in order to ensure that you have the overall strength and ability to do it. So cycling is what would come out as a cross training activity. I would still do it for a few reasons. The first one is simple thing is to get a little bit of variety in life, right? So we don't eat the same food every day, so no reason why you should do the same activity every day of your life. So you can build in some level of variety. Second thing is cycling is a non-impact sport. So every pedal stroke that we make, we do not really use the weight of our body to impact the legs, because our weight is borne by the cycle. So while this is good, this is a fantastic thing. It helps you ride longer, ride much later into our lives, and so on. However, it does, if you don't do sufficient strength training, and if you don't do running sufficiently, and if you are doing only cycling, there is a possibility that you may develop osteoporosis towards the later part of your life. So osteoporosis is basically where the bones develop more pores or more holes inside the structure, lattice structure that is there, and as a result, they become more brittle. So the the impact that each step gives you when you take when you run helps in compacting that bone and building the strength that is required. So just from that CrossFit point of view, the variety and the fact that it will, in some ways, loosely defined, it is another way of strength training. So I would still do running a few times. Uh, Again, however, at the end of the day, it is like, no, if you should do it only if you like it, right? Or if you enjoy doing it. So if you so then you definitely do it. And I am very often accused of getting pretty much all my athletes who don't want to run into running, because I it becomes a very good way for me to make sure that they don't miss a workout even when they are traveling, because you are never far away from your running shoes. So I find it to be the most versatile or anywhere activity that you can do. So even if you are traveling for a few days, you may not be able to take your bike, but you can take your running shoe and run anywhere. So that way, I find running, and human beings are made to walk and run. So that is our most natural movement, and we should be able to do it well, is my thought.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like you kind of mentioned at the start, if you want to get stronger on the bike, you ride more rather than run more. And you can, if you have more time to spare after cycling, you use that time in building up your strength in the with strength and conditioning. I think that would be a good bang for the buck. But if you are someone who is traveling and you can't take your bike along with you wherever you go, absolutely you can always take a pair of shoe, and you can keep that endurance engine running wherever you go. So running is helpful that way. Okay.
Shall we take this Milan's question as well? In the endurance ride,
Yeah.
after some time, I feel why I am doing this. This question comes only in my mind. Or all cyclists feel this. I'm mentally weak. You are definitely not mentally weak, Milan. You are just human. So everybody goes through that question. It is only the point that may vary for each person.
Yes. So when you ask yourself that question, why am I doing this? You have to kind of have that answer w- well before you actually get that question on the ride. So because it might be difficult to remember when you are at your wit's end, and kind of make sense of it all. But that question comes to everyone. So I am sure all the cyclists that were there riding in the Paris-Roubaix this past Sunday would be asking themselves the same question. But once they cross the finish line, they would be the most elated riders ever, because the sense of achievement once they get there would be like phenomenal, right? But you are not mentally weak, definitely. But we all go through those moments where we are asking ourselves, where am I? Why am I doing this? And all those existential questions will definitely come up when you are going through that. Those threshold intervals are puking VO2 intervals, not just in your 6 hour rides or something like that, but you will ask, everyone asks that question. But the beauty is, once you are able to answer that question, get through that phase and answer your question, that question for yourself, maybe in the joy after the achievement, or in another form, you that will become kind of addition to your toolkit, your mental strength toolkit that you are building, right? If you have done your workout successfully once, you know that you have done it once and you can do it again. Or if you have done this, if you have gone through that tough place and uh, continued, you know that you can do similarly tough situation you can handle in other areas of your life. So these can be actually tools in themselves that you are adding to your repertoire.
Yeah. In fact, in some ways, Milind, if you don't ask this question once in a while, you are not pushing yourself enough. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
so
All
cool.
right.
Let's go back to some of the other questions. I know we had planned. Uh, what equipment do you think is absolutely mandatory to to form a training plan, Venky?
So you, I don't, see. Typically, I would suggest, if you are kind of working with a coach, see, a coach would need to look at the data like HRM, and cadence sensor is something that I would recommend. If you have a power meter, that works great too. But if you don't have any of these, you can use a basic cycle computer that shows speed, distance, time, lap time, and stuff like that, and just use RPE, or rate of perceived exertion, to measure the efforts, right? So because it is just you that you are, that uh, that would understand, or that would analyze that, right? Saying, okay, did I go? RPE is basically, um, on a scale of 1 to 10, you would rate your effort on 10 being the hardest and 1 being the easiest, right? And then if you, for tempo, you might be looking at 6 or something like that, or sweet spot and threshold maybe 7, 8, like that, right? So those you would look at. If you have threshold workout, you would put yourself, okay, I would go for 10 minutes at RPE 7, and you can just use that scale to kind of go. So you won't need too many kind of inexpensive Garmin or HRM, cadence or power meter. You would not need it. But if these are there, they are great tools for you to kind of monitor your efforts. You can put calculate your heart rate zones, your power zones, and then base your um effort on those numbers, right? And these become especially important for people who are getting coached, so that the coach can look at the data and analyze the data, analyze your effort and stuff like that. But you can start with very basic equipment and kind of have, put yourself a training plan and go with it. You don't need major big equipment.
Awesome. How exactly, if I am creating a training plan for myself, what is the easiest way to track it?
I would say easiest way to track it would be kind of to have a some kind of journal. It can be a digital journal, or it can be normal good old notebook and pen. Uh, so you can basically what you want to track is what is it that you want have to do on a particular day, and what you have done on that particular day, right? So you would need, so nowadays everything is available like Strava and stuff like that, but a simple diary with the plan on that day and what you have executed on that day with your own notes as to, okay, how did you feel that day, how did you think that workout went, and all these notes are much more important than all the HR and power data, right? So if you look at people from ages, that is how they kind of kept track of all these things. But all these digital apps and stuff make it much more easier to kind of you know uh, track these. There are tools like training peaks, which you can uh, put a plan, and then you can your workout gets uploaded, and then you can make those comments there, stuff like that. So whatever you can do on physical notebook will be available anywhere you go on something in an app on your phone, or on your computer. So all these things you kind of can use to kind of keep track of how we are doing versus a training plan.
Cool. So, friends, we have time for another 10 odd minutes, so we can take a few more questions. While we await your questions, I will ask one from my side. So we have a plan, and we are going through that process, and we are making good progress. Suddenly, there is a, say, unexpected break because of some official reasons or some personal reasons. How do I what do I do? How do I go about changing the plan?
Yeah, so breaks are inevitable, right? You plan, and of course the plans don't go 100% ever. I mean, at least not in my experience. So you can get sick. You might be busy with work. You can be, there might be some emergency that you needed to travel or something like that, right? But these things kind of happen all the time. But you have to adjust and then get started again. But when you have, after coming back from that break, however long it is, don't expect to start from where you left off, right? That is something that a lot of people struggle with. The realization that the fitness won't stay where you kind of left off. You were training for weeks and weeks, and you were in really good shape, and then you had to take a week or two off because of some travel or some emergency or something, and then you come back and feel like shit on the bike. So that is very, very natural. What you got to understand is, if you look at if you look at that earlier example of uh, going to a destination based on a map, based on a route map, if training plan is that route map, and the goal, your cycling goal, is that destination, when you have that break in the journey, it doesn't mean that you are staying there to the point you have reached midway or wherever. It means the every day you are not working out, it is like you are taking a step back on that route. Or another example that I would like to kind of use in this scenario is, if you are building a wall, okay, so every workout that you are doing is putting a brick on in your fitness wall, right? But when you stop doing the workouts, it does not mean that the wall stays there. It means that you every day you stopped working out, you are taking one brick off that wall that you are building. That means you are ending up at a lower level. So you got to realize that and be ready, be patient, and start building back those, putting those bricks back in the wall of your fitness, right? So that is very important to kind of realize, and then work towards that goal again back up, right? So, and make those adjustments, look at that plan, look at that goal, and what are the remaining days that you have, remaining weeks or days you have, and kind of adjust the plan so that you are maybe the most reasonably closer to your goal, right? So whatever you can do in the remaining time, you have to be patient and not expect your fitness to stay there. But with that realization, be patient and kind of work towards those goals with the remaining workouts and by adjusting the plan. Does that kind of address your question, Gokul?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful analogy. Yeah, yeah, it does answer my question, Venky. Uh, so we can take Tushar's question. If I am commuting by bicycle regularly, how can I use it for my training?
So if you are using your commute regularly, there is a thought process that you know uh, some people might call them kind of junk miles, but there is that thought process where nothing that you do on a bike can be junk, right? But see, if you are commuting, you are not really doing much in terms of training, right? There is traffic, there are a million stops, you might be crawling at a snail's pace. You can't really consider it training because you can't really do any sorts of intervals on that thing in that route because of course, traffic. Of course, unless you are in a place where there are empty roads, if your commute falls on like empty roads where there is not much traffic, then of course you can use your bike commute for training. Like my friends in Denmark and everywhere, they use their commutes for training. But if someone like me in Bangalore, I cannot use my commute for training. What I do is I do my training on indoor on the trainer for an hour, and then use my commute as a kind of sort of extended workout or a recovery from my workout. So that is what I would say, it works for. But if you are doing your main work, uh, if you are able to do your intervals, and if you are able to follow your training plan while on the commute, great. But it is not true for most of us living in cities. You can only use it for kind of base miles at best.
Yeah, definitely one thing the Indian commutes will help is your bike handling skills.
Definitely.
Yeah, but if you have the option of picking up a route which is slightly less traffic bound, you can always use that route, try to maintain a rhythm, try to see if you can maintain a cadence. Again, it finally boils down to understanding what you want to do. So if you have a specific smaller subset of uh, a minor goal that you want to achieve, you with that in mind, sometimes you may be able to find a section which will be useful, which we could use. But otherwise, I think it is also very important to stay safe, because
Yeah.
training, the cost of training, you don't want to hurt yourself and be off the bike for a month. So I think it
Yeah.
needs to be a balanced approach.
Correct. Yeah.
So Sharik has a question. I think we can take that as the last question. How to determine the threshold for intervals? Power meters are costly. Can we use other sensors, HRM, cadence with a cycle computer to help in this?
Yes, definitely you can use a HRM to find your threshold heart rate. What you call the lactate threshold heart rate, LTHR. You can use similar to how you do a FTP test. You can do a bit of warm up and then do 30 minutes hard, as hard as you can do 30-minute effort, and take the last 20-minute average HR as LTHR, and then determine the zones, HR zones based on that, and use that for your training. That can definitely be done.
But again, Sharik, intervals could be as short as 10 seconds. It could be as long as, even 20 minutes or even longer. So it depends on what is the interval you are looking at. If it is sub minute, say 10-20 seconds and all, you don't have anything to look at. You just go all out. If you are
Yeah.
looking at a VO2 max, you can use your heart rate kind of thing to pace yourself. Heart rate can be definitely used. I don't think cadence matters much. Cadence sensor could be used to help you stay in the right gear, but you can use
Yeah.
your
So
heart rate monitor.
anything for me, what I would say is anything below at threshold or below threshold, HR kind of can be very useful. But as soon as it goes to shorter intervals, shorter duration intervals, right, the response of HR, because of the delay in the response of HR, it becomes more and more untenable to use that as a guide. So you have to use more and more of your perceived exertion for those shorter and shorter intervals.
Uh, I think we are almost there, Venky, but I think I have one last question. This is important to ask for the community of coaches to keep us in play. So when do you think somebody should switch over to having a full-time coach, and till what time or they are good coaching themselves? It's a fully loaded
The thing
question.
is, yes. No, the thing between us, the difference between someone having a self plan and having a coach is mainly the experience a coach brings, right? If a lot of experimentation can be eliminated when you bring someone who has done ton of such experiments and burnt his hands so many times and learnt in the process, right? Uh, so someone like you and me would have gone through years of training for various events and trying various methodologies, and some might have worked for us, some might have not worked, some might have worked a little bit, while some methodologies might have worked a lot better. So all this is kind of comes with experience, and that can be eliminated if you bring a coach in, right? If you have time and the attitude to experiment and learn, nothing like it, you can continue to go with self coaching and creating a plan for yourself and stuff. And the next important thing is something what we call the decision fatigue, right? We take a lot of decisions over course of our days, right? Each decision has an energy cost, and having to decide which workout to do that day, and having the doubt that is it the best bang for the time you are putting in, can be energy sapping. That you will save a lot of that decision fatigue by having a coach who will make the decisions for you, at least when it comes to the training plan. You just have to blindly execute, right? You don't have to think whether is this is something that I'm doing now, is it the right thing that I need to do right now if I have to achieve that goal. All that mental energy is can be saved. That decision fatigue can be saved. But if you have that energy, if you have that time, if you have that attitude of learning by experimentation and all that, of course, you can do away with a coach, and you can still you know prepare a plan for yourself and go for it.
Awesome. So, is there anything else that you would like to give some parting tips, Venky? Anything that we may not have covered?
Uh, No, I think we kind of covered a lot of the stuff that we needed to, and also excellent questions from the audience. Thanks, guys, for being such an interactive audience and come asking some wonderful questions. Uh, to kind of end, I would say, yeah, it is important to kind of, if you are just starting out, you might not have really big goals, but kind of having some goals would give you a direction, general direction as to where to head. It's like, okay, I want to get to Delhi, then yeah, okay, for starting here, I might need to start walking towards north, right? So something like that. So having some sort of goals will give you a direction. Also, like picking events themselves can be goals. Like an event like tour of Nilgiris or tour of Karnataka, or whatever events that some of the events the bike affair organizes. So all these can be goals as well to kind of work towards. And what these do is it helps you kind of stay focused, stay motivated, and stay the course. You might have started with whatever the goal, like staying healthy, and staying keeping my weight off is my goal, right? And all these, but towards that goal I have intermediate goals, like preparing for these all these events, preparing for bbch race or bar race. All these things become my intermediary goals, and keep me focused and keep me on track. So have some of those goals, that would be really.
Awesome. Abhishek, yes, I think Abhishek has a parting comment that having a right partner helps. Uh, yeah, I think we all need to find out what works for ourselves beyond a certain point. What the only issue with the riding partner is like, the abilities and the goals have to match, which is tricky.
Yeah,
So, but still, yeah, it will at least get you out of bed. So, cool. Cool. Awesome. I think that Raphael's comment, I think, is a testimony that we have done a decent job today, Mikey. Thank you. So,
he's saying that I'm going to make a training and diet plan right away. Need to sort out my work and sleeping times. Hope I can follow it. Thanks. Yes, Rafael, all the best with that. I'm sure you will be able to do it.
thank you very much, Venky. I think we had one of the most interactive sessions thanks to your insights, and we had a great audience today. I learned so many things listening to you, and a lot of perspectives that I had never thought of as a coach. It was a great learning for myself, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the audience as well. Uh, you are a lovely person and a really friendly person, and thanks for sharing all your insights. I hope all of us benefit from it. Thank you very much, Venki.
Thank you, Gokul. Thank you. It's my pleasure being here. It's been a lovely session. I really enjoyed it.